Artificial intelligence. It really needs no introduction, especially now, considering all the drama over art and the even more infamous ChatGPT stick, which has threatened just about everyone. But you might be wondering, what really is artificial intelligence? Is it really going to replace developers, artists, writers, and who knows what else? Or maybe you're a STEM student and you want to go into artificial intelligence for the big buckaroos, learning PyTorch and TensorFlow or whatever library is popular these days. Regardless of that, it would be nice to know what artificial intelligence even is, considering how big it has become as a field, or because that's what your field of work is or is going to be. I think the most important thing to understand is that AI is not a singular thing or goal, rather, it's a field to be able to replicate or mimic rational thinking or action making. I guess one of the most important goals of AI has been the Turing test, that is, to create a machine that can fool a human into thinking that it is a human when compared to another computer through its responses, when neither the computer or the person being compared with are visible. But just like how the Wright brothers wanted to make a machine that could fly, rather than a machine that acted and flew so much like a bird that it fooled other birds, so too is the purpose of artificial intelligence to create a rational agent rather than a human mimic, like they did in Blade Runner. But what is a rational agent? Or rather, what even is an agent? James Bond? No. In our context, an agent is anything that can be viewed as perceiving its environment through sensors and can act upon it through actuators. There is a bit more to this with concepts like percepts and percept sequences and other stuff that I won't get into now. Okay, now on to the rational part. We can say that a rational agent is one that makes the right decision. But how do we know whether a decision is good or bad? We could look at the consequences of the action that an agent performs, or a performance measure that evaluates any given sequences of environment states, an environment state being the current environment that the agent is currently in. One thing to note is that we measure the desirability of the environment state and not the agent's own personal state. If we did that instead, an agent could simply make its actions perfectly rational by gaslighting itself into believing that everything it did was perfect, just like you when you say that you never really wanted to make your parents proud. Another very important thing to note is that rationality is not equal to omniscience. Knowing the outcome to every possible action is different from choosing the action that maximizes the expected outcome. You wouldn't call someone an idiot for walking down a clear road when he is suddenly hit by a brick that was thrown from outside his field of view. Maybe you could if he knew that I was stalking him to create this little story. So now you have a very naive and possibly wrong idea of what artificial intelligence is, even though this is nowhere near the full picture. Nowadays, all the cool kids use neural networks, which is a type of deep learning, a subset of machine learning that can learn features on its own, unlike machine learning. Neural networks are called neural networks because, well, they're made of neurons. But instead of neurons, we use mathematical functions which have some coefficients and constants. Massive arrays of such neurons are then connected in layers with inputs at the beginning and an output layer at the end. These neural networks are then trained with coefficients and constants of each function being changed slightly to minimize the loss, a measure of how much the neural network sucks. But how do we know how to adjust the thousands of parameters in a network? Well, it's done with everyone's favorite field of mathematics, calculus. By finding the derivative of all the parameters with respect to the cost function, we can then see how the parameter has to change, and then we can multiply that parameter changing gradient with the learning rate to make sure that we reach a local or global minima for the parameter. That was quite a mouthful. There are many different kinds of neural networks, like recurrent neural networks, convolutional neural networks, and deep neural networks that all have different applications, which I will not cover in this video because writing the script has become incredibly dull and I want to wind it up, which I will do so now. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope that I was able to give you a general overview of artificial intelligence and some bits of information. I might have gotten a few things wrong, and if you feel like I did, make sure to comment down below what you thought was wrong so that I can completely ignore it and forget about this channel for the next 4 months. Bye!